Welcome to Voluta Tattoo Digital How-To Videos. In this video, we're going to show you how a client would actually use Tattoo Release Forms app in a tattoo studio. So the app is downloaded, you'll click to open it and tap to begin. This first screen tells them a little bit about why you're handing them this crazy iPad thing instead of a piece of paper like they were expecting. If they want a little more information about how the app works, all they have to do is click the button on the bottom left saying, "I'd like more information before we begin." The next few screens basically explain to your client why you're using this digital release form format, how essentially this release form replaces a paper release form exactly, a quick overview of how it's going to work for them, and an explanation of why using this app versus a paper release form is beneficial to the studio, to them, to the environment. When they've looked all that over, they can click "Got it, let's begin," and it will open the app to the first screen. They line their ID up within the square. This usually takes them a minute the first time, but it works. Click Take Photo. I can read this pretty well, so I'm going to say that's good enough to use. If it's super blurry, they have the chance to retake the photo, but I'm going to use this one. Now it's time for them to start filling in their personal information. This is pretty much the same information you'd ask for on a paper release form, just the basics of name, birth date, age, etc. I'll mention at this point that this app does work perfectly well with a wireless keyboard also. I know some people don't like to type directly on the iPad screen, and it would keep your screen clean for longer. You can get iPad stands of all sorts that have keyboards with them, so the iPad is just standing up there on your table or countertop with a keyboard in front of it. Makes it a little easier for some people to use. Typically, we give this to our clients to fill out after we've applied the pattern, while we're waiting for it to dry and we're pouring ink, so that they have something to keep them occupied while we're doing our own thing. And it's easy enough for them to walk through by themselves, so they don't really need our help. So the client is almost through with the bio section of the release form. As soon as they've entered in the last field, provided that everything has been filled in, it will automatically ask them to confirm that they've entered in their information correctly and move them on to the next page. This section of the form are the specifics to your studio. They'll choose their artist from the list that you've entered in the settings. They'll describe their tattoo design so that if they come back in the future, you'll know exactly which tattoo was done at your studio. Several artists have stressed to us the importance of this section because they've had people claim to have gotten a tattoo from their shop that wasn't done by any of their artists. Lastly, they'll choose from a drop-down menu the placement of their tattoo. Again, it makes them confirm that all the information is correct. They hit accept, and it moves them on to the page where they can choose to enter in their information to be included on a mailing list from your studio. In this case, the client chooses no and confirms, and it moves them on to the health page. On this page, you'll see that all the health information defaults to no, so that the client can just choose yes for the ones that apply to them. I'm choosing a random few yeses, and when I get to the bottom and enter in how long it's been since I ate, in theory I should be ready to move on to the next page, but I intentionally left a couple things blank. As you can see, it won't let me move on to the next page until I fill in the information that's missing. I'll go back and list my medications and scroll back up and list what infections I have. This same safety is on every page of the app. It doesn't allow a client to leave anything blank. Now that I've finished typing, I'll click Next Page, confirm that my information is correct, and move on to the legal clauses. The client has to initial next to each clause to indicate that they've read it, and the app does automatically check the initials they use against the first and last name they entered on the first page If they don't match, it won't allow them to finish the form. Our team has done a lot of research on tattoo release forms from different states and included in this section most of the major clauses that tattoo artists use to protect themselves. However, it can't be all-inclusive, so remember, you can always add or delete clauses in the settings section. When the client taps signature, it pops up a window for them to sign on the line with their finger. They click Done and Finish. And now it's the artist's turn. The artist enters the artist passcode. The administrator passcode also works here. And now the artist can enter as much or as little information as necessary. Some states have recently started requiring artists to list what inks they're going to use. So we've made a nice drop down with most of the major brands grouped by color family. But if you don't see an ink that you're using here, you can always click Add New Ink at the bottom. When all the inks are entered, click Done, and then there's an opportunity to enter in thinners, needle configurations, batch numbers, etc. There's also a section for the artist to type their own notes. This would be a good opportunity for them to describe the tattoo design in detail also, or information about the client or their setup. When the artist has entered all the information they'd like, they can click Preview Form, and it'll pull up a preview of the PDF that this app has created with all their clients' information, driver's license, signature, filled in. Any of the health information that was answered yes will be in bold so that the artist can see it more clearly. When the artist has finished reviewing all the provided information, they can click Done. The artist clicks to add his or her signature, which is a requirement, and you can sign with a finger or a stylus. Then click Finish and Upload. It will tell you that it's creating a PDF, and in just a moment, we'll go back to the home screen, which means the PDF has been uploaded to the cloud service you linked. I've already got Google Drive open, so to see the form I just created, I'm going to double tap my home screen button on my iPad, scroll over until I get to Google Drive, and then see a folder called iPad Tattoo Release Forms. I'll click on the folder, and there I can see the form we just created. I'll tap on it to look at it full screen, and there it is, all the same information, signatures and all, right on your cloud.